Hello. You kicked me out. Hello. Hello.
Are you online?
Hello.
Yeah, can you see me?
Not yet, but I can hear you.
Yeah, so it's giving me some issues. I don't know, at my site it says starting event. So I think we are still in the room, but it just
Do you want
constantly.
me to close again? You want me to close again? You close and then you reopen and I'll join?
Yeah, well, it should not matter. Let's try that. Let's try that.
Okay.
We both open again. Yeah.
Okay, you start first, so I'll give you a minute. Okay. Hello. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect.
I see.
Hello,
Hi.
Dr. Yeah, how are you doing?
Good, good. Thanks for having me here in your
No,
webinar, I guess.
absolutely. This is our initiative for our upcoming MD entrepreneurs, doctors who wants to start their own medical practice, or young physicians who come from 8 hours training and they have a dream to become a partner in any medical practice. Well, by the way, welcome to the show. It's called Improving the Business of Medicine with Kunal Jain.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
I know, absolutely. This is my pleasure. I know Dr. Onya for almost last 8 years. When she started her practice in 2012 as a gastroenterologist, is one of my very good friend, Dr. Talk's medical practice. I cannot forget her because other than medical medicine, she is very technology savvy physician, and of course, she is amazingly beautiful. So she is right here in front of us, and she's going to answer some of our questions. What made her think becoming a partner rather than joining any group practice or joining any hospital practice? So today we will be talking to Dr. Mirela Onia. She is a Romanian, a very proud Romanian. She comes from Romania, and she came to this country in 2005. So Dr. Onia, please tell us a little bit about yourself, how you came to this country, what you did, and what was your dream.
Right. Well, I came to this country like any immigrant, full of hopes and dreams and, really set to achieve them. And I mostly succeeded, I think. But I grew up in Romania. I went to medical school there. The Romanian system is a 6 years program. So straight out of high school, there's really no college in between. I finished in 2005, I think October 1st and October 9th, I had my diploma in my hand and basically boarded the plane for United States. That was the first time I actually set foot into the United States.
Did you have a student visa that time? What kind of visa you had?
No tourist visa. Like we went to the embassy, and actually I have a twin sister, so we kind of, both embarked on this journey together. So we went and we got visas. We told them that we want to pursue our medical career further in United States, and we got tourist visas for us to interview for residency. So this is how we came. Yeah.
So they let you come at that time. Now, did you have any idea? Did you guys apply before coming here to different residency programs? Or how did it work?
Yes. So how it came about that we decided to come here is we had a very good friend and colleague in medical school, and she practiced here as a nurse for, I think, 6 years, and then she decided to, do medical school. So she came to Romania, she did it, and we were in the same, class. So she encouraged us to, be her study buddies and to kind of, study together. And she told us how wonderful medicine is here and that we should definitely come. So she kind of convinced us to come. So we kind of were set for this, and we did all the USMLE exams during the medical school.
And you did it right in Romania, right?
In Romania, yes. We were very fortunate because there was that traumatic testing center right across the street from where we lived at that time. So it was easy. And then when we came here, we were in application process. So we had interviews set up and the step 2 clinical skills set up and all that kind of, followed.
That's fantastic. So I think we are getting a little echo. So I'm going to use my headphones. Give me 1 second. Because we tested this. I don't know if you have a headphone, you want to try that, because then it will be
okay. Any headphones? I'll try.
Yeah, if not, it's okay. I think one headphone.
I don't hear an echo.
Yeah, I hear it. Let me use my headphones. And I think this should work great. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Oh, perfect. This is great. So I can hear you very well now. Very good. I'm sorry for little technical. I'm in India, by the way, for last 2 weeks. I'm taking care of my mother. She has extreme pain in the right leg, and medical and healthcare is not as good as we have in the United States here. So I came down here and trying to work with her and taking her to the doctors, different hospitals. So I was wondering, what was your motivation before coming to US? Was it because when we come from India, I see a lot of Indian doctors, you have a lot of Indian doctors in the practice, they find a 360-degree difference between, it's like just 2 different poles when we compare healthcare between India and USA. How do you see, what did you see when you were growing up as a young, as a young girl, and how did you see it? How satisfied you are? What do you see there? And did it give you any reason to come down to United States and do something or learn something new? Or is it pretty much the same thing? What was your motivation behind coming over here?
So I think my number one motivation was, I knew that here there's much more technology and I'll be able to learn much more. In Romania, actually, I grew up in communism, and when communism fell in '89, I was like in middle school. So then it was really a long transition, but and the communist mentality maybe persisted a bit longer. When I was in medical school, the system was really not, running very well. It's like socialized medicine. Everybody contributes into this, one government-based type of medical plan. So everybody gets it as long as they are employed. And then the elderly kind of, the same. But there was really no private option of any sort. And even now, there's actually no private medical insurance. There are many more private clinics where you basically pay cash. It's a cash pay private option at this point.
How's the quality of care?
Pretty good considering, the resources. The problem is, the problem was lack of resources, not necessarily lack of quality, physicians or nursing staff, but the resources were really limited. And even now in the public system, there are really not that many resources, but, you do have the option, I guess, to go to the private, but again, not everybody can afford that. And, that's, truly not a fair system, but this is what it is.
And is the cost same like we have in United
No,
States?
not even close. I don't know of any other country that has, such high cost of medical care.
That's true. Even in India, the cost is extremely low when it comes to the healthcare, because largely the healthcare is a free system here. And those who can afford, they go to a private hospital. Even in the private hospital, the cost is probably, probably 50 times lesser than what we have in the United States. So yes, absolutely. These are the things, sometimes, make you feel that, So is that the cost is the reason, or quality was the reason behind?
I think it was the resources. And I knew very well what I wanted to do in, when I was in medical school. I knew that I wanted to do GI. And unfortunately, even now, there's no, outpatient GI labs. That the practice of GI is very limited because of the lack of resources. Only in the bigger cities, there's, clinics and hospitals that have the equipment that you need to do the procedures that you need to do. So it was a very limited subspecialty when I was training. Actually, now it's much better, but then it was really not very procedure-based, just because they didn't have the resources.
So here, when you came for the residency, what was the one difference you immediately found, and you said, wow, this is the place, I achieved my dream, that's it, I'm not going to go back? And was that the moment, or what? How did you react?
The first moment when I started residency was, oh my God, what did I get into? It was a shock, because, as medical students, you're really not allowed the independence that a medical student is allowed here. And you really did not have that direct contact with the patient in the ways the medical students get prepared here. So even the simplest thing as writing a SOAP note, a progress note, or doing some discharge paperwork, all that was very new to me. So I didn't know how to navigate it. And unfortunately, I didn't have the chance to at least do an observership or some type of, month of internship here to at least figure out how things work. So the first month was brutal, because you have to navigate all these little things. But then I think that my knowledge foundation helped me, pass that first month, because then the playing field became a bit more equal for us, the, international grads. So, after the first month shock, everything, started falling into place.
How was the reaction of your patients? Because as a resident, you must be seeing patients in an inpatient environment or outpatient environment, mostly inpatient environment, right?
Right. Well, I did my residency in New York, actually in Long Island, Long Island Jewish Medical Center. So it was a very academic institution. They were very used to having, residents. I don't remember having bad interaction with the patients. They were very, gracious and used to all these, interactions with the residents. And I also had very good mentorship, from the senior residents, from the attending physicians. So that was not a problem, actually. I was, surprised that people were so nice.
Anything you wish that you knew before coming to residency, or any especially, or any challenge which was like, any stories do you remember which was the most difficult part of the training?
Well, that was the most difficult part, the fact that I need to kind of adapt to how the system really works.
Right. Was it more like a cultural? Was it more cultural shock,
Yes.
or it was more? Okay, so like,
Now,
okay.
I wish I would have, done a little bit of observership or some type of internship in the United States before I started the residency. I think that would have been an advantage. But afterwards, what I can say is you have to just grab and for any opportunity you're given, and just learn from every interaction, good or bad, or even if it's the 100 patients that come with cellulitis, there's really something to learn from that patient as well, and kind of have an open mind that this is your time to learn, and just every patient interaction, take it in, learn as much as possible.
Do they teach you how to run your own medical practice, or any kind of administrative non-clinical part?
No, I think that's the problem in medicine, actually. In medical school, not even one word about, what it means to have a medical business. First of all, there was no such thing in Romania of private medical business when I was training. Everything was basically one whole institution. So nobody needed to know, and I don't really come from a business background either. And then what is shocking here in residency and in fellowship, there's really no emphasis whatsoever on the business aspect of medicine. Let's not talk about actually, learning how to set up a business, but not even the basic of coding or billing.
There was
Nothing.
no, okay. So they didn't tell you how to build 99214, how to add a code and modifiers.
Nothing at all. The whole emphasis is, just don't worry about any business. You're here to learn, and
But
patient
learn
care is.
what? I mean, I learned just the patient care. So how do you? Did you never ask them, like, whatever I'm doing, I'm going to be paid as a salary, but what if I start my own practice? How I'm going to be,
Right.
reimbursed?
Yeah, I was fortunate in a way, because when I did my fellowship in Michigan, Royal Oak Bowman Hospital is a 1,200 bed, huge private. It was private mostly hospital then. So the fellowship position, most of the attending that were teaching, they were actually in private practice, but with clinical teaching privileges. So I was very fortunate in that regard, because I saw them, I learned from them. I went into their office and I saw how they conduct their business, and I saw how they were, kind of keeping their list, and so at least I had a basic understanding of how private practice work, and I see their work-life balance, and I saw what's important for them and how they manage in their own practice. And I learned from like 12, 15, at least 12 or 15 physicians. So each had their own little, differences, but this would have not been an opportunity for me if I would have been in a highly academic, center. So that was, I think, a plus for me. And seeing them, I think, led to the fact that I wanted to be in private practice myself.
Right. So it was a learning more with the colleagues and people, just by observing them, watching them, and that's what I did actually all my life. And that works great, because that gives you first-hand information how you can practice what you are learning. So that's fantastic. So at what point did you decide that this is I want to start my own practice, or I want to join a practice where I can be a partner soon? What was that moment?
So I think in my second to third year of fellowship, as I was starting to explore what my options are afterwards, I really had to kind of sit down and with my thoughts and think what I want, what is exactly that I want. And I've, with pros and cons, academic versus private practice, I thought private practice, would work best. And all the feedback that I was getting from my attending physicians were also that I would function very well in private practice, that I'm efficient, that I can, do things systematically. Was not very inclined to do, basic science research. It's just not my thing. I'm kind of too active and action driven. So it was a little bit the boring side.
Was there a lot of choices when you were like in your final year of your training? How did it work? Because I'm sure a lot of group practices, medical offices, hospitalists, they wanted to hire you, right? And it must be a very difficult decision to go for a small practice. Well, what was that little motivation? I really want to know, because that's very commanding, very interesting.
So luckily for us, as a female gastroenterologist, I had an advantage because, there are not that many in our profession, and a lot of practices were looking to add a female gastroenterologist. So I had many options. And I went and interviewed to, a bunch of places. So to give me an idea of what will, work for me. And in Michigan, when I was training, I got, multiple offers from the groups that I was training with, and I was very inclined to actually stay there and settle there. I knew the people, I knew that they were, trustworthy, and they seemed to, get along well. So I was almost ready to settle there. But then we always thought that, once I'm done with the training in Michigan, I'm going to go somewhere where I really want to live for the rest of my life, where there's a nice weather, and in Florida or somewhere kind of, on the East Coast. So I'm still relatively closer to Romania. It was something that I had in my mind. So just kind of, very late into the process, I think it was January or so in my last year. So almost everybody is already signed up by then. I saw.
And you were holding up. You were holding up all the excitement, right?
Yeah, I saw on the back.
You were not pressed by different like visa situation, different social reasons, your family members. Was there anybody instrumental sending you, any family support or anything?
No, I mean, obviously I was married by then, so, but my husband was very supportive. Initially, I promised him that we're going to go to Michigan, do the fellowship, and then we're going to go right back to New York. But then at the end of this, he didn't want to go back to New York. He was really not necessarily, so tied to New York anymore. So, we decided together that we want to go somewhere where it's beautiful, where there's things to do. So I was really, not necessarily tied by anything, So that was.
How did you convince him? You convinced him that we are going to Florida?
It was the other way around. I think, both of us, we both decided. I saw that I saw the article, the promotion for the current job on the back of the Red Journal, one of our, publications, and on a whim, I called and I got a phone interview, and then on a Sunday morning, both myself and my husband, flew here, interviewed, and then Sunday evening we flew back home. So it was just a one-day thing, and I think it was meant to be, because after interviewing that much, I had a feel of how a big private practice functions. If there's 7, 8, 10, 12, physicians versus a smaller one.
Right. So what made you decide to join a small practice rather than the larger one?
I think the autonomy that you get from a smaller group,
autonomy. Okay, that's a very powerful word. Autonomy. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fantastic. So you got your autonomy in last 15 years, and you have been pretty successful here, right? You got a pretty large, physician patient base in the practice. And what was your so when you decided to move, you had kids by that time, or family, or just for yourself?
No. I had a 2-year-old basically when we moved here. And then I got pregnant in my first year of practice here. But I have wonderful partners. Obviously it's not just the autonomy and the small group. It's the fact that Dr. Tonk and Dr. Amin, at that time they were
family environment.
we just, clicked, and they were very honest, and we had the same, I thought, moral values, and the work-life balance that they were promoting was exactly what I wanted. So, and both myself and my husband had that just, good feeling, go with your gut, Obviously, I knew nothing about these two people that I'm going to associate with, but I had a good feeling about it. So I went with that feeling, and
No, I know both of them for a long time. So great people.
I didn't know them at that point. It was the first time I met them. But then, I went an interview with them, and I just had a good vibe. And then, everything clicked. I was lucky in that regard.
That's fantastic. No, that's extraordinary. Actually, this is an extraordinary journey. And how did you solve your visa situation? Because probably you were in the process of converting your visa into an H1 or something. So you applied in the new practice?
So from the beginning, when I started residency, I was an H1. So the H1 visa does not really, tell you to go anywhere and do a waiver. And you can extend that H1 for another 3 years after residency. So I was at the end of my H1 visa when I was getting my job. But meanwhile, I was married for a few years, and my husband, luckily, he's a citizen. So
oh,
didn't
fantastic.
have any issues with that. Yeah, now I'm a proud US citizen.
Oh, so your husband was a citizen even before coming here?
Yes, yes.
And you both together came to this country?
No, I met my husband in New York.
Oh, you met. Okay, so then it was easy for you to get a visa situation. So you first applied H1, then you met him. Okay, very good. So so how does it work for the people? So you said your sister also came here with you?
Mm-hmm.
And she was also in the field of medicine?
Yep, she's doing the exact same thing. She's a gastroenterologist now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she also found somebody here and she got married?
Yes. I'm not sure if that's how she extended her visa, though. No, I'm not sure how she started working. I think the same way, yes. But a visa issue when you're on age is really not a big problem. Actually, it might be, I guess, if you need a sponsorship for the green card.
Correct.
Which I don't need,
especially in today's environment, it's a little bit tricky, and those who were on H1 visa, they have a long queues and for long waiting period to convert it to a green card. So unfortunately, that's the situation right now. But I think everything will be all right after November. Well, we had a great conversation. Any specific, story you want to share? Anything you like about this country? Where about the patients? What are your future plans? How do you want to? I know you're a full-time partner. Okay, I have one question, because most people see the things from a financial perspective when they join a medical practice, when they join a new job. And it's a big incentive at the time when you start your medical career or your career, professional career. How did you handle that situation in your mind that, I may not be making enough money as a partner in the beginning, but probably later on in the future?
So I think this financial incentive plays most when you first start, because in a very sort of specialty, usually if you are incentivized to go somewhere where maybe there's a big demand, and you're offered this huge, tremendous salaries that might kind of flash in front of your eyes, and it's very tempting initially. And there were those kinds of offers there when I was in interview process, but then I thought to myself, okay, so I go somewhere but it's not the place where I want to be forever. So what does that mean? I'm going to make some money initially, but then I have to start all over again in another place and potentially displace my children, and probably I'm not going to necessarily be happy where I am right now. So I did not want to really compromise for the immediate gratification of a big salary, my overall well-being, and the well-being of my children, and the life work balance that I was really pursuing in my mind. So I was okay with starting lower, and then having the possibility to build up to something that is very comfortable. And there's always time for one more consult, for one more hour of work, you have to put a line, and to what extent, because you can be working all day long. There's always people to be seen. But then again, are you going to be happy doing that? And I think this is why I clicked with my partners too. None of them have this mentality of work is everything for me. That work is very important, and they really have satisfaction. And I have satisfaction when I go to work every day. I really very much enjoy what I'm doing, but up to a point. And I think if I'm able to maintain that balance, this is what I want for the basically future. I want to be able to balance my work and my family time, because my children are small only for a few more years, and then they're going to be gone. I have a lot of time to work, maybe harder later if I want to. And that's the beauty of private practice. Nobody's telling you or forcing you to work more. You can just choose how much you want to work. And again, it depends on how the practice is set up. But if I choose to work less, I'm really not impacting my colleagues or my partners, as long as I pay my share, of the cost of managing and keeping the practice alive. So it's a choice, and it's very, very good to have that option to be your own boss and make your own schedule. And I wouldn't trade that for anything at this point.
I tell you, that's the truth. I mean, that's the truth. That's very challenging, but at the same time, it's intoxicating, because entrepreneurship is intoxicating. So this is fantastic. And what if it was not medicine? What if? What else you would be doing?
It's hard to say, because growing up, I've always had in my mind that I want to help people, and actually I decided to, that I want to be working in medical field, a doctor or a nurse or whatever, when I was in 10th grade. And before that, I might have said police officer, or I don't know what my parents were saying that I was.
I can't imagine you being a police officer, believe me.
I don't know how to help people like that. I don't know, but no, medicine, I guess, was calling. And to prove that to you, I mean, my sister chose exactly the same thing, and not just that, exactly the same specialty. We're like, the perfect marriage between, medical and surgical specialty. I mean, we both think the same. I think it's imprinted in our genetics.
Yeah. And so that's fantastic. I know. So you are one of our clients too, and PracticeForces has been helping you out for many, many years, I know. And so how do you see working with a billing company, or sometimes, asking questions, getting some IT stuff done, anything?
I don't have experience with any other billing company, but it's a very big advantage for me to know you personally and your wife personally, and it's basically a click away, a text away with any questions that I have, and it's been great. I don't know how bigger, more billing company would have worked, but the fact that there's that connection, that it's basically at the click of a button, it's been great for me. And obviously it was a learning process, because I knew zero about billing. And I'm getting all the props I need now to, basically, be able to.
It's ever changing. Every year things are changing. So do you think that billing and coding should be a part of your learning curriculum during the residency or during the training time?
For sure. I think also the business part of medicine, and teaching medical students not to be afraid, to actually be on their own. But that's never going to happen. That's not the interest, right? The interest is to keep everybody employed and dependent, right? That's my interest.
But if they add a little bit entrepreneurship angle into the training program, then it will give them an ability for doctors even to do something else other than practicing medicine. So like, I know a few doctors who started healthcare insurance companies. I know some doctors who started capitation plans or different revenue streams in healthcare insurance itself, and made tons of money. They become very famous, and they followed their passion. So their passion for entrepreneurship is more than following the passion for medicine. And
it's not something that I had an experience with, and I regret not having any, training in business and, entrepreneurship. And I was just lucky basically to be where I am. And I had a
Right.
vision in my mind, but I already entered into a practice that was thriving,
Right.
and I, kind of contributing to it right now, but I didn't set it up. And I don't think that I would have been able to start by myself, honestly, as an immigrant coming here with no knowledge of any sort, with no business training in Romania. In communist Romania, there was really no such thing as business. Everybody was kind of, equal. And my parents don't have a business background either. So I had, zero clue of how to actually start on my own. It was actually a very terrifying thought. So,
but now you know. Now you know. Now you have attended board meetings. You have a process.
right.
You have learned
But
from your
it's a
partners.
terrifying thought to be by yourself and be nonstop on call and not to have anyone to bounce ideas off of. It's better to have your own pack and
Right.
I
What
still
difference?
want to be completely on your own.
Yes, you're still not ready for that. Well, probably one day. How do you see the difference between, is there like, I know there's a cultural difference between when seeing a patient in New York, Michigan, and coming to Florida, totally different population, Medicare population is very high here. And was that a huge difference for you to learn, or how do you know any, do you want to narrate a good story? Or
you know what? I'm seeing the same people, the same snowbirds that I was seeing in New York and Michigan. I'm just now seeing in Florida. So it wasn't a big difference for me. I was the same population. They're just now happier.
Did you even get a chance to meet same patients?
No, not exactly the same, but I can tell you I had patients of my sisters that came here, and that was fun. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic. So we had a great conversation, Dr. Onia. Thank you very much. And I think we are going to put this on the videos. And thank you again for your time. I know you're very busy. It's a Saturday. It's a Sunday afternoon. You would be spending time with your family. Again, thank you very much. And we'll be in touch once I come back to US.
Kunal, thank you for having me, and thank you for this initiative. I hope you get to help a lot of people to become the entrepreneurs they want. We need many more of those in medicine.
Many more. That's the whole goal, yes. And I tell you, I'm getting a lot of good response of these videos. Not necessarily that every time people join it, but when people join it, they want to see it again and again when we put it on YouTube, because this is going to be on YouTube, this is going to be on Facebook. So a lot of people participate in it and they watch it and they feel very good about it because they get the information what they could not get anywhere else, because this is a first-hand information from an immigrant explaining how they came and how how successful they become by joining the medical practice as a partner. So thank you again. Thank you very much. You helped us.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me. Have a great time there in India, okay?
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Onia. Bye.